Today's video, we're going to talk about Wix versus WordPress, which one you basically want to use. And a lot of you guys haven't started a website at all yet. A lot of you guys have started a website and you're deciding whether you should switch to WordPress. Or just switch to Wix even. Or, Wix can be interchanged with Squarespace or any of the other paid for platforms that are not open source. WordPress is an open source platform that's technically free. Like everything in life though that's free, there's other costs. You're paying one way or another. Nothing's free. I'm going to tell you the pros and cons of these because and what makes me qualified to speak on this is because I've worked with hundreds of clients over the last 10 plus years at my advertising firm. I also use WordPress on our own website that we've had up for 10 years already. I'm going to tell you what the reality is, not just speculating as a YouTuber, but actually in the trenches dealing with these platforms. The good versus the bad, and what you ultimately should be using. The short of this is, WordPress is by and large the best because it's the most flexible. You want to have flexibility with your website because there'll be some point in the future where you want to do something, you want to change the look of something, you want to add this functionality, that functionality. And then if you're using Wix or Squarespace or another paid solution that does it all for you, so you could be a dummy and run a website essentially. No offense to anybody watching this video, but you're not going to be able to do it. You're going to look through the documentation that Wix provides or whatnot, and you're going to say, shit, I cannot do what I want to do here. And then that's the point where you're going to feel like you got effed over by switching to Wix, because nothing in the documentation that Wix is going to say or anything is going to tell you that you're going to have that problem 3 years from now when you want to do X, Y, and Z. On the flip side, WordPress is going to kick your butt as well if you don't know what you're doing actually managing websites. You could think of Wix like a website with training wheels, if you will. It's the same thing with any other paid solution like Squarespace, or even if you're running Shopify or BigCommerce or another e-commerce specific platform. They put the website with all this nice padding around it, so like you could literally be a complete newbie, know nothing about programming, websites, anything, and still manage to keep a website going, even a fairly big one. But then you have all those drawbacks of not having flexibility in what you're doing. It doesn't integrate with the stuff that you wanted to integrate with, and you find all that out later on. So anyway, I'm going to go into detail on these key points here so you can make a proper decision as to whether or not you want to jump in with 2 feet with WordPress or the vice versa, because you're have a problem with dealing with the issues that WordPress has and you're not a web expert. You don't want to deal with it, so to say, anymore. These points are going to, by the way, before I get into the content, completely not talk about the whole issue of switching websites. If you want to know the issues with switching websites, you should watch my video on that. Search for it on my channel homepage, because switching websites is a whole ball of wax in itself. And if you think, oh, I hate WordPress, I'm going to use Wix, I'm going to switch to Wix, you're going to do that thinking this is so easy. They make it seem easy. You do it, and then your SEO rankings go down the shitter for 90 days, or they may not ever come back the way that they were. Your ad campaigns you're running go down the shitter and never come back. And that decision to switch websites that you thought was only going to cost you an extra $50 a month pissed away $500,000 worth of revenue. I see this all the time at my advertising firm. You don't know what you don't know until you made the mistake. Well, if you're not running and working with clients like I have, and you're legitimately just doing this business for the first time for yourself, you're going to have to make all the mistakes. And running a website's not like running a brick and mortar business where you can hire experts that can guide you pretty well on the main stuff you need to know. There's no one web expert that's going to tell you every pitfall to stay away from running a website. I mean, if you watch this channel, I can tell you most of them, but still you're going to have to run across most of the stuff yourself. And the main thing being switching platforms the marketing that you have will get totally messed up if you don't know exactly what you're doing. And so if you have any doubt at all that you're going to have a problem with that because you don't know what you're doing, you need to stop what you're doing and don't make any transition until you go ahead and you thoroughly study it. And then what I also recommend would be just reaching out to me and asking my advice on it, which you can just easily in the comments leave a comment and ask about it. But anyway, apart from that, I'm going to go into the technicals here. Besides the marketing and resetting, the marketing and the bead on that, the advertising you had to set up for your company to bring traffic in through Google Organic, Google Paid, Facebook ads, that all run off of algorithms, and when you switch your website up, even if it looks identical to the website you had before, it's still going to mess everything up, short-term or long-term or permanently. There's other stuff to take into consideration, which, like I mentioned, I'm going to go through here. So with that said, getting into the content itself of what I wanted to mainly talk about. So there's lots of tutorials I see on YouTube. A lot of these YouTube videos that talk about marketing, online marketing, it's all produced by YouTubers who don't do marketing. They're just finding what keywords, what people are searching and making crap content with no practical experience. It's bullshit. That's 95% of the videos on YouTube. And they talk about these hypothetical benefits that Wix is going to provide, WordPress is going to provide, but they don't talk about, specifically as it comes to WordPress now, all the management it's going to take to run WordPress, okay, and more so keep it running, okay? Well, I like WordPress. We use it for our own site as it's flexible for our own business. The reality is, because everybody's using it, it's a huge target for hackers. It's just like the whole Windows versus Mac thing. If you're a malware person that tries to hack people's computers and turn them into a slave device, why would you waste your time hacking Mac when that's like 20% of the market, when you could just create a program for Windows that's the other 80% or 75 or whatever? For the time you put in, it would be easier just to go the one direction versus the other. That's the reality, because WordPress is the main one platform you can use that's open source, and anything open source has lots of security flaws in it because you don't have people that are financially incentivized to plug all the holes in it, so to say. You kind of do, but they're not financially incentivized, so it's never perfect. And it's always changing and updating, and every update, you don't have people pre-testing this for security flaws and so forth. And then on top of it, everybody's using it. So if you're going to be a hacker and you're going to try to hack websites to put code on there that they could take over a website and then get people that go to that website to send them to another website they control to make money, you're going to do it to go after WordPress because it's the main platform and it's open source, so it's easy to hack, okay? WordPress, because it is used by everybody, makes it the most flexible. It works with the most programs. Finding people to help you work on it is very easy, because if you're going to be somebody that's going to actually help build websites, they're going to know WordPress better than anything. So there's pros and cons definitely, obviously, to this, okay? So bottom line, if you don't know anything about websites and you're trying to run WordPress, you're going to need somebody who does know how to run websites to manage WordPress. Maybe not right away. Maybe you could get away with not having anybody manage your website for a while. But it's not a matter of if, but when. If you are business savvy and you grow your business, sometime your website's going to get such a level of notoriety to it, so much traffic, so much awareness, so many links out there, it's going to become a target from the hackers, because the hackers always want to hack websites that have a lot of traffic. What's the point of hacking a website that if you put your hidden links on the website, because a lot of times they can hack your website, they don't even know, people don't even know it's hacked, they just put one tiny little change on it, so that when you click this button and it used to go here and now it goes to another website or takes users to another website, they want to do that to sites that have a lot of traffic. So how do they know if it has a lot of traffic? Well, you have a lot of stuff out there that talks about your website. So then they crawl the web looking for all these mentions, which indicate your site likely has a lot of traffic, and then they try to hack it. So they don't know for sure that it has a lot of traffic until they hack it, so to say, but they can pretty well guess. And the bigger the site you have, the more of a target you are. And the more the reward is for hacking it. So what they would like, of course they know a bigger website has more security built within it, yes. What they're looking for are sites that have fairly large amounts of traffic, but fairly small amounts of security. Like you, who comes along and says, I'm going to run my WordPress website and I'm not going to hire a security expert because they're charging $150 an hour. That's a ripoff. I'm not going to do it. I'll take my risk. I'll take my chances. You get up to $1 million a year in sales revenue, your site gets hacked and it's down for 3 weeks intermittently, and you aren't aware of it, and you lose $100 grand worth of sales because you never hired that security expert to fill basic security holes in your website, and you're going to wish that you did it. Everybody thinks it's not going to happen to them until it happens to them, and if you don't have any basic security going on WordPress, and I say basic is not the right word for it. Pretty advanced security, you're going to get hacked. It's not a matter of if, but when. So what you really got to do with WordPress is you got to invest in the security before you get hacked. And you're going to not only that, but you're going to need more security the bigger your website gets in terms of traffic and notoriety. So you're going to consistently keep spending more money on security the bigger you get to prevent the next level of hack, if you will. So really you're having to spend more money to prevent the people that are going to be coming later on, if you will. Otherwise you're going to be hacked down and then you're going to fix it after the fact. And then if you got traffic coming into your site and your site's hacked, if you have to shut off your ads for a few days, it's going to screw up your momentum. You very well could have a $100,000 mistake if your website gets hacked. I've seen this happen many, many times because people don't want to invest in web security and they don't know what they don't know. So what you end up having if you're going to use WordPress is here's you right here. Here's you right here. Okay? Start your WordPress website, totally clueless. Start promoting your business. You're a savvy entrepreneur. You've tried these websites before. You pretty much know what you're doing this time. You get a little bit bigger, okay? Then the haters come out, / hackers. You get to where you're doing 100 visits a day to the site. Then bang, you get hacked. Got your first major hack of your website. Then you say, shit, I should have invested in that security like Corey said, but I did it. Now I'm going to do it. Then you beef up your security of your WordPress website. Cost you some money. Cost you $1,000 with the security thing from a guy on Upwork or from a firm like $3 grand and puts a basic security in place. But now you're pretty much good. Okay? Then you go, oh, I learned my lesson. We start building my business here again. And then guess what? You're at 100 visits a day. Now you're at 300 visits a day. Next hack happens. Somebody comes after you again. Then, but this time, the difference between the first time you got hacked and the second time you got hacked is it's going to cost more to get the security beefed up this time, because the bigger you are, the more sophisticated of hacks are going to come in. Because there's different levels of hackers. There's certain people who just try for basic run-of-the-mill exploits, like, like there'll be known exploits of WordPress, and then they're shared around the hacker communities, and they'll just try every website for this one exploit. Then there are certain people who can do stuff like DDoS attacks and overwhelm your server with hits, which only more advanced hackers get, but they're only going to spend, and then they go after select targets. So instead of costing, $100 to beef up the security on your website, it's going to cost $3,000 to get it really set up. So you have the DDoS protection, you've upgraded your hosting. DDoS is, like I said, but when people try to hit your website a bunch of times with a bunch of fake visitors, and it'll knock it down, and so they can get into the site. Sometimes what people will do is they'll go to your contact form and they'll type in a bunch of gibberish information over and over and over and over again to overwhelm your server. And then they can get into it that way. There's some really sophisticated stuff they can do, and the bigger you are, the more that they're going to spend to get in. And this process never ends. The bigger you get, the more you're going to have to spend on the security. So yes, it's nice in that you don't have to spend it all right away when you're small, but you're going to have to progressively, proactively spend money on security before you need it to prevent the hacks that are going to be coming in the future, so you don't have any downtime. So before you get to 300 visits a day, you really should be spending that $3,000 on security when you're at 100 visits a day, if you get my point. So you're always spending it in advance if you're operating smartly. And there's a point where you get to $500,000, million a year, really should have a web administrator that's going to constantly monitor your server of where your website's located. And furthermore, you're not going to be hosting your website on shared hosting anymore. You have a virtual private server. Why? Because it loads faster, much faster. You're not going to be hosting on shared hosting anymore. You're going to be doing a virtual private server because the resources available on a virtual private server is going to be much greater than a shared hosting, which means it's going to load faster. And then that server now needs to be managed by somebody because it's not as simple to manage that versus a shared hosting account, because a shared hosting account is like hosting your website with training wheels, and then things just become more complex over time. I would want to antiquate it to running a WordPress site versus Wix is going to be like comparing running your website in a stall inside a flea market versus having to run the whole flea market. The whole different level of complexity. But, like I said, going full circle here, you have damn little flexibility with those other platforms. What if the other platform fucks up? Your website goes down. It's right in their terms. They don't have to compensate you. You have $50,000 a month worth of ad traffic going to the site, and all of a sudden you find out the site's not working properly. They ain't going to give you nothing. Maybe your little $50 a month fee back. Now, that's probably obviously not going to happen if you stay with the main ones, Shopify, Wix. But just throwing some scenarios out there. But the bigger thing is, when you want to go do something as simple as integrate your Salesforce account with your web forms on your website, you're going to have troubles because now you're working on somebody else's platform. With WordPress, you can bend it, you can mold it, you can shape it however you want. Anything you basically want to do, you can do with WordPress. Whereas with Wix, it's really a grab bag if you're actually going to get to do what you want to do. You're going to want to do something, then you're going to have to look and see if it's possible to do on Wix. Versus on WordPress, you know you can do it. It's just a matter of how much and how long is it going to take. So I mentioned the integration with Salesforce because that's a common thing that comes up. You want to be able to integrate your leads so they go into your CRM so that you can track your leads all the way to a sale, and you can track your ROI, and then your sales data from your Salesforce account can pass back to your ad accounts so you can then optimize your ads for sales and profit, not leads, and track what the lifetime value of a customer is so you understand what the value that you're getting out of these ads are over time from all the repeat purchases a customer makes. Getting a bit off track here, but that's just one common thing I see, like with Wix. You can't integrate it with Salesforce. And there's going to be a lot of other things you can't do specifically. So whatever you think you have in mind now, maybe you can do all that on Wix. 3 years from now, though, you're going to want to do something, and it's probably not going to work, and you're going to have to just put a kibosh on that idea because you chose to use Wix. That would be cheaper and easier to administrate, but is way less flexible for you to be able to do what you want on your website. What I encourage you to do is think about what you want long-term, unless you're a short-term type of thinker. People that make money online doing business are thinking long-term. The people that don't make money want to get rich right now. They want to know the secret of getting rich in 6 months, and I don't want to wait 5 years to 5x my business. I want it now. And maybe if you're starting out and you're trying to go from 100 a day to 500 a day, you might be able to pull something like that off, but it'll get harder to grow your business as you go. And the people that really make the most money running ads for your business, what you basically got to learn how to do to run your online business efficiently, that takes years years, not months, to build up properly, where you're making millions of dollars from it and it's profitable. So you got to like have a 7 to 10 year plan on how your business is going to be built up during that time. And that's a long time to not have to make a change to your website. So anyway, think about these things as you go through it. WordPress is going to be challenging to manage, but you can do anything you want with it. And that's why I like WordPress over these free platforms. Now, if I was running an e-commerce site to finish this up, I would actually run it on Shopify nowadays, because running an e-commerce site is a whole different level of complexity. Even though you can do like WooCommerce with WordPress and run an e-commerce site on WordPress, I wouldn't do it because it's just so expensive / complicated to make a website, an e-commerce website, secure, that I'm not going to bother with it. It's just better to run it on Shopify. Outside of e-commerce, I'm doing WordPress every time because I can do what I want with it. So that's what I recommend after seeing, literally hundreds of mistakes being made by other clients where we manage their ads for their business and then also our business, and understanding how it's almost like a rite of passage. If you have a website, it's going to get hacked, and it's going to get hacked, and it's going to get hacked. Whether it happens to you and you have a big problem from it or a little, it's up to you and how proactive you are, and whether you decide to go and use a Wix versus your own website platform like WordPress or whatnot. So I'll wrap it up with that. Hopefully that made a lot of sense. It was helpful for you. If you have any questions, leave me a comment below. I get back to every single person who leaves me a comment on this channel, usually within a couple days' time. You can ask me any ad-related question you'd like, as that's what I specialize in, and I try to help out my viewers of this channel as much as I can, just as a thanks for watching the channel. If you like the content on this channel, you should very well subscribe, because I have a ton of other content on this channel that'll help you make millions of dollars with your ads, diving into ad strategies that work and that I'm using every day with our ad firm to guarantee results for our clients. It literally guarantee, and I'll explain that in just a minute. And so unlike having to deal with people that don't run ads and are just talking about it on YouTube, I'm actually dealing with it, and this is all I do all day long, is come up with ad strategy. So if you want to know what really works, this is the channel for you to subscribe to. Furthermore, I've got a blog you can follow at guaranteedppc.com/blog, as well as a column that I write over at entrepreneur.com. If you like the channel, you'll love my written work even more. If you are looking for an ad manager now or in the future, this is exactly what I do. We guarantee results for our clients, and that before you pay any fee to us, you'd be able to raise your sales results before you have to pay anything to us at all, or need to. That's something that we've done for 10 years now. The only catch is we got to know we can get great results with your stuff. But if you want to see if we can work together, you should reach out at guaranteedppc.com, and I'd be happy to give you a free analysis on and look at what you're doing and see if we could potentially work together. Beyond that, if you are looking for great results but you don't want to work with an ad manager per se, if we've worked in your industry before, you should take advantage of our ad templates that we're also selling as well. If you're in a different geographic market than our current client is or was that we've worked with in the past, you can take the ads, landing pages, everything that we've developed in that market for that client and use it for your own purposes, copy, pasting those results into your own ad accounts with the ads, with the landing pages, everything, and get the same results we've built up over years for your company in your own geographic market. So we've worked in over 100 plus markets at this stage, and we can tell you what results you would get with our templates before you ever used them. So if you're interested in that, you can also reach out. We got people using these to start other businesses, doing well with it, selling leads, and so on and so forth. So if you're interested in that, just reach out. We also got a template to start an e-commerce business if you want to do that, which we've also sold a template where you could literally sell a commodity item using e-commerce in a country that we're not technically in, that kind of thing. But anyway, I'll leave it with that. Hopefully you enjoyed this video, and I hope to see you on my next video where we have another great strategy for you then. See you later.